Will AI take over our jobs, and is it time to consider a new career? In this video, we will discuss this and other trends that will shape the future of UX in 2023 and beyond. Hey, I'm Maureen. I am a senior product designer based in Berlin, and in this video, I'm going to share 5 topics that I believe will shape the future of UX design. Just a quick disclaimer, if you want to know more about visual trends, if you want to know which typefaces and colors are going to be trending in 2023, then this is not the video for you. In this video, we will discuss technical and societal developments that will shape the future of UX design. So without further ado, let's jump into the first topic. The first trend I want to discuss is not really something of a trend in a lot of parts of the world, but it definitely is a new phenomenon here in the West, and especially here in Germany, where I am based, and that is what is called a super app. Now, apps usually have a very specific use case. You use your online banking app to manage your money, you have WhatsApp to message your friends, you have a different app to order food or to call a cab, but you also have apps that combine all of these things, and that is what is called a super app. A super app is a collection of mini apps. It's basically a platform that combines different services. And in some parts of the world, for example in Asia, this is already something that millions of people use. One example of a super app that you might have already heard of, or maybe you use it yourself, is called WeChat. WeChat is a Chinese instant messaging app that you can also use to pay your bills or to share photos with friends or to communicate with friends. You can also do video calls and play games, and it also has their own payment system. Another example of a super app is Gojek, which is a super app from Indonesia, and this also combines around 20 different products and services. So with Gojek, you can message your friends, you can order food, you can call for a cab, but you can also pay bills, and all of this with Gojek's own payment system. So you will see that a lot of the super apps come with their own payment services. And the benefit of this is that they don't rely on third-party payment methods like PayPal or Klarna. Grab is also a super app that combines multiple services. So you can order food, but you can also get parcels delivered, you can get insurance or book a hotel room, and all of this, again, with its own payment service. So why is this a relevant development for UX designers? As you can imagine, creating a super app comes with added complexity in terms of designing a coherent and consistent experience. Because all of a sudden, you have to design multiple products that are hosted on one platform. And that, of course, means more work for UX designers. Super apps also offer the opportunity to create highly personalized experiences, because the users of super apps can kind of mix and match the different apps on the platform to fit their own needs. For businesses, a super app is of course a great opportunity because it replaces multiple apps that otherwise might have been in the hands of competitors. So a super app is a great way to get users into your ecosystem. However, there's also a downside to super apps, and this is also something that we as designers should be aware of. Super apps pose a risk for smaller businesses that only offer one service. For users, there's also the risk of growing too dependent on this super app because they use all different kinds of services on one platform. So these are things to be aware of as a UX designer. If you're getting worried that designing a super app is going to be a lot of work for UX designers, then the second trend that I want to discuss might bring you some ease, although it can also be a reason for panic. So what is this second trend that could be a reason to worry? The second trend I want to discuss are AI developments. And now there are some designers that are worried that AI tools will make them lose their jobs or that will take over our jobs. I personally don't think it will be that drastic, but AI tools can be a gigantic help for our work. In the past year, we've seen some interesting AI developments that can also help our industry. A lot of AI tools that we see today are either focused on text to image or they're focused on generating copy. Now, what do I mean with that? Let's take a look at some of the examples. You probably already have heard of DALL-E 2, or maybe you've already used it. And this is a tool that uses text prompts to generate images. So you describe something that you want an image of, and this AI tool generates an image based on your prompt. You also have tools that don't generate images, but that generate texts based on the prompts that you give it. Tools like that are, for example, Jasper or Copy AI that can be used to generate emails, marketing texts, or copy that you can use in your wireframes. The way that these tools work is that you give it a prompt. For example, I want to write an email, and based on the prompts that you give the tools, they'll give you examples of copy that you can use. One of the tools that I am particularly impressed by is called Descript. And Descript is a tool that allows you to edit videos in a completely different way than you might have been used to. Descript is a tool that can fill in gaps in video based on the input it has been given. So for example, it can use my voice to fill in gaps in the video. You can also edit videos based on text input instead of cutting and editing the videos yourself. And even Notion, one of my favorite tools that I use as a designer, also comes with an AI-powered feature that helps you generate text. By the way, if you're curious about Notion, we actually made a video where we help you set up your Notion workspace and give you some ideas on how you can use Notion as a designer. We'll add the link to that Notion video in the description below. Why are these AI developments relevant for UX designers? Now, I don't think there is reason to panic because I don't think AI will take over our jobs anytime soon, but it is true that a lot of the tasks that we do today can be automated or can be done more efficiently with the help of AI tools. For example, imagine an AI tool that can help you create the best wireframes and the best information architecture based on best practices from the internet. Or imagine an AI tool that helps you extract insights from big data sets. That would help our user research a lot. Does this mean we will be out of jobs in the future? I don't think so. I actually think that the help of AI tools will free up space for us to focus on what really matters when designing an experience for humans. And those are things like empathy, ethics, and consider diversity in the experiences that we design. Now that I've mentioned the importance of images and text and the way that AI can help us with that, I would like to discuss the third trend that is something that lies very close to my heart and that I personally believe will become an even more important part of our jobs in the coming years. The third trend I want to discuss is content design and UX writing. Nowadays, UX designers oftentimes have to rely on placeholder text and imagery. That makes it harder to design a coherent experience because we have to guess what kind of images will come on a page, what kind of text, how much text, and for example, how many words can fit into a button. These are all guesses, and we can only know if our design really works well at the moment that it's filled with real content. And that is exactly why content design is so important and why you see content designers and UX designers work together in early stages of the design process. So what exactly is content design? UX Writing Hub describes content design as thinking about the design behind the content with a focus on how to serve the audience the information they need when they need it. Just like UX designers think about information architecture of a page and how to help people navigate websites and apps, content designers also think about information architecture in terms of the hierarchy of content and how to lead people through a page with the help of different pieces of content. For example, if you run an online store, what is the content that you want to show your users first? Imagine that they land on your homepage. Do you first want to show them the newest marketing campaign on Black Friday sales? Or do you want to show them the items that they have saved on their wish list in previous visits? Now that we know a little bit about what content designers do, let's take a look at what UX writers do. More and more companies employ UX writers, and rightly so, because text is an important part of a user experience. UX writers focus on, and you can probably already guess this, the copy and the text on a user interface. For example, a tooltip in Figma, a call to action on a button, or any kind of labeling on online forms. These are all things that are likely written by UX writers. These little bits of texts actually have a really big impact, and we call this microcopy. You might think microcopy is trivial, but imagine what happens when you have confusing error messages or confusing categories in navigation. And you'll soon realize that this microcopy really isn't just a detail, but it is something that is essential to a user experience. So let's take a look at just what a difference it can make when you have different kinds of texts and different kinds of microcopy. Let's compare the search bar in Airbnb with the search bar on Google Travel. Airbnb's search bar inspires people and gives the possibility of everything that you can do on Airbnb. You can find a place to stay anywhere for any date. Now imagine that this search bar would have said, choose your date and choose your destination. It would have sounded pretty dry, right? Now let's look at the search bar of Google Travel. The copy in the search bar already explains to the users what they can search for. For example, they can search for destinations and touristic sites. These are just tiny details, but they show you how much it helps users to understand the functionality of certain things on a website just through text. Another example where you can see how text and imagery go beautifully hand in hand is the landing page for Apple's iPad. Eye-catching visuals and a very minimal text spark the right curiosity for users to find out what an iPad exactly does and how it can help them. So why is this relevant for UX designers? What I hope you can take from this is that content design and the work that we do as UX designers really goes hand in hand. Content is an essential part of the user experience. The words in an app are just as important as the text, the loading of the page, and the navigation in a page. Content in UX and UI is also important because it provides clarity, it appeals to the user's emotions, and it strengthens the brand identity. You can be the Shakespeare under the UX writers, but if your website does not work properly, then people will not read your text. And this also applies vice versa. You can make the shiniest, fastest website, but if the content has no value, then people have no reason to visit your website. You probably heard about user-centric design, but have you ever heard about planet-centric design? Now, this topic will hopefully not be a trend and not a temporary thing, but something that will really shape the UX industry in the coming years. What is planet-centric design? You might not realize it when you're designing digital experiences, but the work that we do online has an actual impact on the real life. And that is what planet-centric design focuses on. Planet-centric design is a methodology and an approach that focuses on designing products and services that do not harm our planet. Even though our products are digital, it still costs a lot of real resources and energy to make sure that all these apps and websites keep up and running. Now, I don't need to tell you about the consequences of climate change. You probably already heard enough of that in the news, or you maybe already experienced the consequences in real life. And that is why more and more designers are becoming aware of what the impact is of our work on our planet. It is our task to design responsibly, not only making sure that our experiences don't hurt people, but also making sure that our experiences don't hurt the planet. You might have seen the diagram that says that good design balances whatever is desirable, viable, and feasible. Planet-Centric Design adds an extra layer to this diagram. Planet-Centric Design states that the output of design should also take the wider systems into account. It should be systematic and transparent. Designers have to be accountable for what they put out in this world. With our work, we can actually change people's behavior and we impact how people navigate this planet. And that is a big responsibility that we have to be aware of. Planet-Centric Design gives designers a methodology to look at their work with a bird's eye perspective and zoom out of what is important to the user and zoom into what is important to our planet. Instead of only focusing on the user and the experiences that we design, we can also become aware of the impact that our work has in a wider context. For example, what impact do the products that we design have on climate and our environment? What are current world topics and what stake does the company that we work for have in these matters? How can we design in such a way that it is not only more cost efficient, but also more resource efficient? And lastly, what role can we play in our company to help inspire more sustainable choices in our company's strategy? As designers, we have to balance a lot of different factors: business constraints, technical limitations, the desires and needs for our users, and it is really easy to forget that all of this is happening on something that all of us use daily, namely our planet. When you're designing a digital experience, it's important to be aware that even though this experience exists online, the work still has an impact in the real world. Behind an app for ordering taxis are actual vehicles that are driving through the city and that have an impact on the environment and the infrastructure of a city. Now that we're talking about digital experiences that have an impact in the real life, I want to discuss one last topic that has a real impact on our life as UX designers. The last trend is one that might sound a little bit depressing, and that is the changing job market in the tech industry. In 2022, several big tech companies like Twitter and Facebook announced massive layoffs. This comes to a shock after years of having a boom in tech jobs. And it's understandable that that leads to panic or worry, because what will happen with the job chances, and should we all fear for our jobs now? First of all, this is just how the economy works, and it will not be the first or the last time that we're facing massive layoffs. But what can you do about it right now when you are beginning your UX journey and you're looking to start your career and you hear about all of this news? If you've just embarked on your UX journey, it's even more important to find ways to differentiate yourself from other people that are looking for an entry-level job. It once might have been enough to enroll in a bootcamp and apply for a job with the case studies that you've created during this bootcamp. But nowadays, you will need to offer more when you're looking for an entry-level job. It's becoming more important to practice patience and really master your UX skills before you start applying for jobs. This may sound contradictory because you may have the feeling that you have to apply for jobs soon to make sure that you stand a better chance, but it will actually save a lot of time when you really take the time to polish up your skills and create a solid portfolio. So take some time to not only understand the different UX methodologies, but also understand why and when to apply them. If you are at the beginning of your UX journey and you want to know how to navigate these layoffs and how to prepare yourself for a more competitive job market, we actually created a video where we list 7 concrete steps that you can take to become a UX designer. You can find this video and all the resources that I've mentioned before in the description below. What does this changing job market mean for our industry? Is it too late to become a UX designer? I don't believe so. I actually believe that UX jobs will stay in demand, but if you are looking for your first UX job, it's becoming more and more important to really polish your skills and make sure that you stand out in this competitive market. Focus on your skills and knowledge. That is something that no one can take away. If there is something that we have learned from the recent developments, it's that a job, even when it's at Twitter, Amazon, or Facebook, is never secure. You can always lose your job, but you can never lose your skills and your knowledge. This can also be a good moment to consider different opportunities to start your career. You don't have to get a job at a big tech company. There are also many other jobs available in startups and small to mid-sized companies that can really help you grow. Now that you know what you can expect in 2023 and the years to come, you can use this knowledge to prepare for trends that you might face as a designer. There are many more trends happening right now. The ones that I've discussed in this video are just the things that I personally believe will have a big impact on our industry. But of course, there are way more things, for example, in AR and VR or visual trends that we didn't have the chance to discuss in this video. If you feel like we've missed a trend or an important development, then let us know in the comments below. And who knows, we might even make a video out of it. In case this video didn't scare you and you still want to become a UX designer, CareerFoundry has a free UX design short course where you will be able to get a flavor of what UX design is. If you want to know more about this, you will find the link in the description below. Fun fact, I actually took this short course 5 years ago and it convinced me to become a UX designer. We actually made a video where we give you a sneak peek into this short course and I'll give you my view on it and we'll show you everything that you will learn in this course. So if you're interested, then make sure to click on this video, go check it out and start learning. I'll see you there.